Disclaimer. Lin Man author. I am 29 years old this year and haven't gotten married yet. I have become one of the oldest leftover girls in the population, and have also become a topic of conversation for relatives and friends after dinner. Of course, although my parents love me very much and treat me as the apple of their eyes, their ideas are very traditional, believing that men should marry when women are big, and they have always been very concerned about my marriage affairs. Furthermore, both my father and mother are people who value faith and care about the opinions of my relatives and friends. Due to my delayed marriage, it has caused discussions and even some rumors among my relatives and friends. 3 days ago, it was 520. Without any red envelopes from anyone, I sent my mother a 520. However, my mother not only didn't appreciate it, but also issued a soul torture to me. Your conditions are not bad. That's a good question. I also want to know the answer. Explain that I am not an unmarried person who deliberately does not get married. On the contrary, I am full of expectations for marriage and have always longed to become a mother. As for the conditions, as my mother said, whether it's family or personal conditions. In terms of family conditions, my hometown is a third-tier city. My parents have formal jobs, and my mother will retire in a few months. Based on the retirement status of relatives and friends, her pension is estimated to be over 3,000. My parents bought 2 houses in this city, both located in the city center, and one of them was a dowry prepared for me. I'm an only child without brothers and sisters. In terms of personal conditions, I graduated from 985 University 7 years ago, and was admitted to a local civil servant 5 years ago. Although my income is not high, my welfare benefits are quite good. Salary plus subsidies. You can earn over 100,000 yuan a year. As for my appearance, based on the evaluation of people around me, when I felt extremely depressed and complained about this matter with my friend said to me in an unyielding tone, "I have said for a long time that you should not go back to your hometown. With your ability and family conditions, if you had stayed in a big city, you would have married and had children. How could it be delayed to now?" After listening to my best friend's words, 11 years ago, I was admitted to university and first came to a bustling big city. I was attracted by the bustling traffic and commercial streets here, and I made up my mind to stay here. However, my parents disagreed. Since my senior year, I asked why, and my mother explained it this way: "You are a girl, not a boy, and don't need to work hard in your career. For a girl, the most important thing is stability. Your parents are just like you, and I have no other requirements for you. As long as you live your life smoothly." In my parents' understanding, stability is the most important word for girls. Firstly, in their opinion, being a teacher is most suitable for girls, followed by civil servants. When my college entrance examination results came out, my parents asked me to fill in a normal university. After graduation, I returned to my hometown to be a teacher. But I instinctively hated being a teacher, and fought with my parents for a long time. Finally, the first volunteer filled in my favorite university, and the second volunteer chose a normal university. Fortunately, secondly, they think that compared with a big city with a prosperous economy, but a huge pressure of life and no elders around, the third-tier city of my hometown is more suitable for my development. Therefore, finally, if you stay here, on the one hand, it's convenient to take care of us. We're just one child, who won't rely on you to take care of us when we get old. On the other hand, if you get married far away, and get bullied, We won't be able to arrive in time. If you get married and settle down here. If he dares to bully you. I was deadlocked for 2 years, wanting to stick to my ideals and stay. But my parents refused to give up. They called me every 3 to 5 to analyze the reasons, and then went straight to my company to argue and demand that I go home. Faced with strong parents, I resigned from my job, gave up my house, bid farewell to my friends, returned to my hometown to focus on preparing for the civil service exam. But my marriage has become a concern for them. At first, they asked me to find my partner on my own. The problem is that there are already few male civil servants in small cities, and I haven't seen many of them over the years. There are a few single people, but they all come from small counties below. As I grew older and more anxious, my parents entrusted relatives and friends to introduce me to someone. With their help, last week, I visited this matchmaker and talked about my troubles. After listening, the matchmaker asked me, in order not to waste each other's time, I have put forward 4 requirements. Firstly, I request that the other party's education level should not be too low, preferably 985,211. Secondly, the minimum requirement is 1 book. Secondly, the other party's income cannot be lower than mine. Their job needs to be stable. Third, the other party should be an only child. Those who have sisters at home can be considered. Fourthly, family conditions should not be too poor, preferably similar to mine. Parents should have a pension, and the pressure on retirement should not be too great. Although I have a dowry house, in my opinion, I meet all these requirements myself, and it's not too much to demand from the other party. After all, I can't be too low just to get married. After listening to my request, Hong Yang sighed and told me, your business is too difficult to do. I feel incomprehensible. I don't understand where I am demanding too much. Hong Yang explained to me, to be honest, your requirements are not outrageous. After all, you can meet these conditions yourself. It is normal for girls to find someone who is better than themselves. The problem is that we are a small city here, and boys who meet your requirements are better. Naturally, apart from 985 and 211, there are not many boys returning to their hometown after graduating from a university. Not to mention the family conditions. Although the house price here is not high, it is okay to take out a house and pay a down payment in a big city outside. If the family conditions are good, the son still has the ability. Why do parents want the son to come back instead of trying to support the son to buy a house outside to stay and develop? After listening to the matchmaker's words, on the one hand, I admit that the matchmaker's statement is reasonable. There are too few excellent men in small cities who meet my requirements. On the other hand, in my opinion, getting married either involves finding someone who is in love with each other or someone in the right family. If you force yourself to lower yourself, you may not be happy after marriage.